In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the NLCD, or National Land Cover Dataset. We can look up this NLCD data in Google Earth Engine. I'm going to use the 2019 release today because this release has data between 2001 and 2019. You can see the specific years that it has data for here. I also want to point out that the NLCD is only available for the United States, so keep that in mind. It is a Landsat-derived product, so the resolution is 30 meters. Let's go into the bands tab and see what the bands are called. So it has one band called land cover, which is a land cover classification. We can scroll down to see what each value represents. Value 11, for example, equals open water. Today I'm going to be looking at developed lands, so I'm just going to remember that values 21 through 24 all represent developed land, with 24 being the highest intensity of developed land. Other bands that are important to keep in mind are this impervious surfaces band. So this band represents the percent of the pixel covered by developed impervious surface. So this is also a great band to use if you are interested in urbanization and impervious surfaces. I'm going to import this data set and name it NLCD. In this tutorial, I am going to analyze the urbanization in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. I have already drawn a geometry around this region, and then I'm going to create a variable where I start to filter the NLCD down by the criteria that I am interested in. So I'm going to get the earliest year and the latest year that I can to understand change between these two time periods. So the earliest year is 2001. I'm going to take that NLCD data set, filter it by date for 2001. I'm going to get the first image, which should be the only one during this time period. And then I'm going to clip it to my geometry. I'm going to do the same thing for 2019. So remember to edit everything in your code that will change with this new year. And now we can add these to the map. So map, add layer, NLCD 2001. And then I'm going to select that land cover band, because in this map, at least, I'm interested in seeing the land cover types. I'm going to leave the visualization parameters blank, and a really cool thing will happen in a second once I visualize this. But let me do this again for our 2019 variable, and let's run that. So the NLCD dataset already has colors assigned to the land covers. So the blue represents water. All of these red and pink pixels represent developed land. We can use the inspector tool to specifically click on areas and see what land cover they are. So in this area, in both 2001 and 2019, the land cover value was 24, which remember is equal to high intensity developed area. And let's also toggle between the 2001 and 2019 images. And you can really start to see here the urbanization that happened between 2001 and 2019. Let's also visualize the impervious surfaces. So we can take these variables that we have made here, and rather than selecting the land cover band, we can just select the impervious surface band instead. Map add layer, NLCD 2001, and then I'll select impervious. Here in my min and max, I'm going to put min as 0 and max as 100 because remember it's a percentage. And I will name this band impervious 2001. I'm going to go ahead and rename the maps from before land cover 2001 and 2029. I'll also add a palette here. So let's do a palette that is, let's say, green, white, brown. And then I'll copy paste this code and edit it for 2019. Great, so you can see the difference. There's a lot more impervious surfaces. You can really see that this city is expanding, especially in these outskirts here. Great, so let's do one other thing in this data set. I'm going to select a land cover in order to really highlight the area of change. In order to do that, I'm going to use the equal function, but I'm gonna first start by creating a variable. I'm gonna call this NLCD 2001 urban, and then I'll add my NLCD 2001 image, select the land cover, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the moderate intensity urban land. So I'm going to get all of the pixels that equal 23, and those pixels will be reassigned as ones, and all of the other pixels will be reassigned as zeros. Let me copy paste this and edit it for 2019. And then we can add those to the map. The min and the max will be 0 and 1. We can add a palette if we want. I'll just do white to red, and then I'll put the layer name as 2001 urban, and copy paste this again for our 2019 urban layer, 2019. And let's see what it looks like. Great, so again, here we have areas that are white and red, with white representing either not urban land or some of the urban categories that weren't the value 23. But again, we can really see how much development there has been between 2001 and 2019 in this medium intensity developed land cover. And if we wanted, we could do this for each of the urban land covers and then quantify how much area there was in each of those land covers. Of course, you can do a similar methodology as I've done here for any of the land covers in the NLCD. Of course, you can look at different years and different geometries. So there's a lot of really fun ways that you can explore this data set.